Okay, let's dive right in. We're looking at a region in Pakistan where, for all intents and purposes, modern-day bandits have carved out a state within a state. Deep in the Riverine forests of Sindh province, a ruthless kidnapping industry is absolutely thriving, and it's challenging the very authority of the government.
This is the brutal human face of the crisis. Just imagine seeing this. These videos are not just threats, they're a twisted form of psychological warfare, deliberately spread on social media to terrorize families and entire communities into paying these huge ransoms. And for hundreds of victims in Pakistan's Katcha region, this is the horrifying everyday reality.
And this is the sheer scale of the problem. We're talking about an estimated 1 billion rupees, that's over $3.5 million US dollars, extorted in ransom money every single year. This isn't just crime anymore. It's a full-blown parallel economy, an empire built on fear.
So the big question is, who exactly are these so-called Decoits? And how on earth did they go from being simple bandits to a force so powerful they can openly challenge the state?
Yeah, these are not the bandits from some old folk tale. They have seriously modernized. I mean, you've got gang leaders who've become social media influencers, using Facebook to taunt the police while trying to style themselves as community defenders. They're posting these slickly produced videos showing off military-grade weapons, all set to local music. They're literally building a brand based on defiance and terror.
Now, to really understand why they are so incredibly difficult to stop, you have to understand the land they control. The terrain itself, well, it's their greatest ally.
The Katcha is basically a natural fortress. This is a part of the country where the state has almost zero physical presence. We're talking no schools, no hospitals, and most importantly, no roads. It's a no-go zone for any kind of normal governance, which makes it the perfect sanctuary for outlaws.
And this is where it gets really interesting and really tricky for law enforcement. The Katcha sits right on the border of 2, sometimes 3 provinces. So when the police start to put the pressure on in Sindh, the gangs just melt away, crossing the border into Punjab. They play this jurisdictional cat-and-mouse game, and they are masters at it.
I mean, this slide just breaks it all down. It's a logistical nightmare for any outside force. You have these dense forests for perfect cover and a total lack of roads. But the real game changer is the annual monsoon. It floods the entire area and turns it into this maze of isolated islands. The gangs know every single hidden trail and waterway, while the police are basically left stranded. In this kind of environment, the state's weakness truly becomes their strength. But you know, geography is only part of the story. The uncomfortable truth, the thing that makes this so hard to fix, is that this crisis keeps going because of a deeply rooted system of institutional failure, complicity, and, frankly, corruption.
And just look at this comparison. It's an incredible mismatch. On one side, you have Decoits armed with anti-aircraft guns, rocket launchers, and thermal scopes, weapons that can reportedly pierce right through police armored vehicles. And on the other side, you have a police force that's often outgunned, technologically way behind, and critically not trusted by the very people they're supposed to protect.
So here's the crucial point. This isn't just random chaos. It's a form of violent, unofficial governance. According to multiple reports, powerful local elites, these feudal landlords known as vaderas, are using these gangs as their personal armies. The gangs do their dirty work, and in return, they get protection from the law.
And this deep politicization of the police, which security analysts talk about all the time, it directly cripples any real attempt at law enforcement. It leads straight to the second and maybe the most devastating pillar of failure: the total collapse of the justice system itself.
The whole system is basically broken from the inside. There are documented cases of police officers not just protecting gangs, but actively working with them. Police operations become this revolving door where criminals surrender for the cameras, only to be quietly let go a few days later. And with no real witness protection, victims are just too terrified to testify. So even the strongest cases against the most violent criminals just fall apart in court.
And this entire broken system is reinforced by a third pillar: tribal codes. A lot of the violence here isn't random. It's rooted in these generations-old feuds over land and honor. But instead of going to state courts, disputes are settled by tribal councils or jirgas. And who controls those jirgas? Often, it's the very same feudal lords who are backing the gangs. So you see this vicious, self-perpetuating cycle of violence that traps the whole region,
completely outside the state's control.
So after hearing all that, you have to wonder, is there any way out of this mess? What could a real solution possibly look like? Because it's pretty clear that just sending in more police isn't going to cut it.
Well, experts propose a comprehensive strategy that's been adapted from counterinsurgency efforts around the world. It's called Clear, Hold, Build, and it's pretty logical. First, you clear the area, use joint military-police operations with better tech to neutralize the gangs. Then you hold it. You don't just leave. You build roads, permanent police posts, you show you're there to stay. And finally, and this is the most important part, you build. You bring in schools, healthcare, and jobs. You replace the economy of crime with an economy of opportunity.
And look, this isn't just some abstract theory. It's a model based on hard-won lessons from some of the toughest conflicts on the planet. From Colombia, the lesson is that this requires massive, long-term national commitment. From India's fight against Naxalite rebels, it's that building roads is actually a form of state building. And from Pakistan's own success in the Swat Valley, the lesson is that the state only gains legitimacy when people on the ground see their lives getting tangibly better.
And all of this, it brings us to the final, really provocative thought at the very heart of the Katcha crisis. It's the question that truly defines the challenge ahead.
Ultimately, you see, lasting peace can't be won with guns alone, and it can't be won with development projects alone. It demands doing both and doing them intelligently at the same time. But even that isn't enough without one final ingredient: the political will to actually confront the powerful interests who benefit from things staying exactly as they are.
And that's the question we'll leave you with. When the patrons of crime are allegedly tied to the political system and the police themselves are seen as part of the problem, then a security operation isn't just a fight against outlaws. It becomes a battle against the deeply embedded part of the system itself. Is the state fighting crime, or is it fighting itself?